Welcome to the Audio Inc. Radio podcast, featuring interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal. Hosted by Anne Erickson.
Get inked. Visit Facebook.com/Audio Inc. Radio, Twitter.com/Audio Inc. Radio, and AudioIncRadio.com for more ink. Whew, that's a lot of ink. It's AudioIncRadio.com.
I know you are stoked for the show because we have a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, one of my personal favorite bands, and I know that you love them because, I mean, who doesn't love, drumroll, Def Leppard? I mean, Def Leppard, they're really, in my opinion, the most successful rock band out of the 80s. And I mean, people call them hair metal, which I kind of feel like I get why they're labeled as hair metal, but I feel like they're just different than that. They're more mainstream, chart-hopping hits across multiple radio formats back in the 80s. Hits on top 40 radio, and then of course rock radio, performing in stadiums and arenas, and they still do it today. I remember seeing Def Leppard a few years back headline Van Andel Arena. I had to think for a moment, what's the name of that venue? But Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was Def Leppard with Poison opening up. And I don't remember if anyone else was on that bill, but what a great show. I mean, to this day, Def Leppard, they are killer live. One of the best live shows that you will ever see. And their music has staying power. I remember when I first got into classic rock radio, I was not, I mean, I love classic rock. There's no denying that I love that music, but I wasn't really a classic rock girl. The music that I grew up on and that I first heard when I heard rock music, as I mentioned before on the show, is post-grunge and new metal, that early kind of 2000s, a little bit of the late 90s, but mainly early 2000s stuff. I just fell in love with Stained, Shinedown, all of those bands. And I got a gig at Classic Rock Radio. It was my first classic rock gig because I started out in alternative and active rock and was in top 40 for a minute, and pretty much then was mainly in active rock, which is what I'm in now at the Riff. And I love active rock. It's my favorite radio format. But I got a radio gig at a classic rock station, and I was very excited because I do really enjoy classic rock. But I remember my first day sitting there in the studio and hearing all the music, and I dug it. I loved Led Zeppelin and Motley Crue and all the bands that I heard. It was kind of an 80s heavy classic rock station. And then I heard Def Leppard with Animal. And there was something familiar. I had never heard that track, but the anthemic chorus that just made you want to pump your fist in the air. I'm doing it right now here in my studio. I've got my fist in the air, but that anthemic music, it reminded me kind of the music I fell in love with, the more post-grunge kind of anthemic stuff. And to this day, Animal is one of my all-time favorite songs, and it's one of my favorite, it's the favorite, my number one favorite Def Leppard track for sure, even though they have so many just amazing songs, amazing music. Def Leppard, of course, officially inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It was really nice to see the Rock Hall get that one right, because I know it's really controversial with who they leave out and that sort of thing. So when Def Leppard got in, and they had the biggest fan vote of all time, I believe, in Rock Hall history, to see them get in and get that honor that they deserve, to see the Rock Hall really pay tribute to a rock band that, in my opinion, really helped form an entire genre of music, 80s arena rock. Def Leppard is synonymous with 80s arena rock. Just awesome stuff. And very happy to have the legendary Rick Allen of Def Leppard on the show, their longtime drummer. He is amazing. I mean, he's not only an incredible drummer, he also is an artist. Maybe you did not know this, but he's a really good artist. I mean, you hear a lot of musicians who, oh, they do art, they do this, they do that on the side, and you look, you go, oh, that's cool. His art is really, really good. It's very realistic. And he has a series called the Legends series where he immortalizes different musicians. His latest, Eddie Van Halen, Kurt Cobain, he did. And the way Kurt's eyes just glisten in the drawing is so cool. He's really great at this. And he has his first appearances since the COVID lockdown in Florida at Wentworth Galleries. And you can find more info in the details section here of the podcast. And you can go to rickallen.com for all of the specifics on that. He's also planning to do more gallery showings with Wentworth everywhere, pretty much. So very cool. We're going to talk with him about his art. When did he discover the hidden talent or love for art? How does it relate to his music? And then we're going to ask about Def Leppard. New music? I want new music because I think Def Leppard, they still put out really great original stuff. And I'm looking forward to that new Def Leppard record. And I'm going to ask about the big Motley Crue, Def Leppard, Poison Joan Jett tour. Just got postponed. Kind of a bummer. But I'm going to ask about that and his thoughts on that, what he misses most about being off from the road, and just more Def Leppard stuff about what it was like to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is going to be a fun, meaty conversation with Rick Allen of Def Leppard. Once again, it's Anne Erickson. You're on Audio Inc. Radio, the show. And if you don't subscribe to the podcast yet, what are you waiting for? I want you to do it right now. I'm pretty much mad at you. I'm Fred Durst level angry at you. Just saying. Just search Anne Erickson or search Audio Inc. Radio wherever you rock out to podcast. Hit subscribe and leave a 5-star review. I definitely appreciate your amazing support. And if you don't link up with me online yet, do it. I'm online pretty much all the time. You can message me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. You can just head to itsmeanne.com. That's itsmeanne.com. Itsmeanne.com to link up on my personal Facebook. You can also search Anne Erickson on Facebook and my page should pop up. It's pretty easy. And you can find me direct on Twitter and Snapchat at Anne Erickson, Instagram and TikTok at Erickson Ann. Support Audio Inc. Radio at audioinkradio.com. That's INK, like Tattoo Inc., audioinkradio.com. And one final thing, if you don't yet, check out my band Upon Wings at uponwings.com, female-led metal music. And if we can be 0.001% as good as Def Leppard, then my goal will be completed with Upon Wings. All right, let's get into it. An amazing chat with Rick Allen of Def Leppard.
Hey, this is Rick Allen with Def Leppard, and you're listening to Audio Inc. Radio, and you're also listening to Anne Erickson.
Well, first of all, how have you been doing this past year? It's been just such a wild, crazy year.
It was kind of weird at first, but then my wife, she came up with this great idea for Big Love benefit concerts. So I started calling a lot of musician friends, Tommy Shore, Billy Idol, Matt Sorum, Miles Kennedy, and we put a virtual show together. And basically what we did, we raised money, and that went to Sweet Relief, and that went out to help a bunch of industry professionals and crew that were, suffering. So, because the ripple effect that went out into this industry has been devastating, as you can imagine. So, so that was kind of the least we could do. So that was really cool. Kept us busy, and then I've really just been painting and playing drums and just kind of doing what I can just to keep myself occupied.
Right. And I think that is so great you did that, because it's been so devastating, as you mentioned, to not just the performing musicians, but the crews especially.
Oh, I mean, everybody. Imagine all the people that work at the venues, the restaurants around the venues. I mean, that ripple effect just kind of affected everybody. It was just so sad. And then we, on a more serious note, we started hearing of people within our circles and hearing about suicides. So we realized that mental health has been a huge issue during this period. So, we were just trying to help in the best way that we could.
I think that's great. And it's really cool that you've got your first appearances since the whole COVID shutdown with your art showing, Wings of Hope. So tell me about Wings of Hope, the collection, and the meaning behind it.
I'm on dog duty as well. He's young, and when he sees birds, he goes nuts.
So do I.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the whole idea of Wings of Hope, we kind of need that right now. We need something to look forward to, and just to be able to realize that this is all going to be behind us at some point. So within that collection, I've been busy with the Legends series, which is all musicians that inspired me growing up. So I ended up doing a really cool Johnny Cash, the original Bad Boy, and I did a Kurt Cobain. He basically changed the face of music forever. And then I did 2 Eddie Van Halens, which I think sold before I even finished them. And the response I got from those was just fantastic. Then I've been busy with a Stars and Stripes, a Union Jack, and hearts and all kinds of stuff. So there's something there for everybody to see.
Right. I really love the Legends series, and you mentioned Eddie Van Halen. Tell me what made you want to immortalize him with your art.
Back to 1978, a good friend of mine, Mark, he lived up the street from me where I grew up, and he called me up and he said you've got to come and listen to this record. So I went over there, and he played me the first Van Halen record, and I was just completely blown away. I'd never heard anybody play guitar like that before, or a band like that before. And then a couple of months later, it just so happened that Van Halen were coming through town, and they were opening up for Black Sabbath. And quite honestly, Van Halen owned that show. They you could tell they were so hungry, and the combination of that band, that lineup was just insane. It was just so cool. Fast forward to 1991, I moved to the States, and I settled in Studio City in Los Angeles area, and then one of my neighbors was actually Steve Lukather from Toto, and we got to know each other. Anyway, one night he called me and he said, we're having a get together, we're meeting at such and such a place, are you going to come? I'm like, yeah, I'd love to come. He said, I want to introduce you to Eddie Van Halen. He's a really good friend of mine. So I went down there to the restaurant, met with Eddie. I was super starstruck, because I'd been looking up to him for all those years, and he was very humble, very unassuming. You wouldn't realize, that he played guitar like he did, and I didn't know Eddie well, but I met him a few times, and there was always a mutual respect. And I thought the best way to pay homage to him and his family and his fans was to do a painting. And the response I got was just amazing.
One of the other pieces in the Legends collection that really struck me, and you mentioned it already, was your Kurt Cobain piece. It's so beautiful and just really shows off his eyes. Do you remember the first time that you heard Sounds Like Teen Spirit and Nevermind, and what did you think?
I was just, it was akin to when I heard the Sex Pistols for the first time. It was just, it completely turned the music industry on its head. And it had a great effect in the music industry for the most part, but I think for a lot of bands, a lot of rock bands particularly, it was a real struggle, because it was just bringing that raw element back. And the record we made after that, a record called Slang, was actually really paying homage to that moment in time. We didn't necessarily have all the big harmonies and everything. It was more stripped down and kind of sounded like we did when we first started out as kids.
Wow. So when did you fall in love with art?
When I was a kid, really. There was more paint on the ceiling and the floor than on the paper, but there was something really, really cool about doing that, and just full contact, paint everywhere. And then I discovered photography. My grandfather bought me my first camera, and then really discovered music round about or playing music around about 9 or 10. And then, when my youngest daughter was born 10 years ago, we started painting together, and I kind of got the bug again. And I learned a few really cool techniques, and here we are. I've been doing it for the last, 12 years or whatever.
Wow, and you're really good at it, by the way. I think that a lot of people who know you from Def Leppard would be surprised that you have this talent.
No, that's cool. I think creativity is interchangeable. I think if you can play music, I think somewhere in you, if you develop the muscle memory and technique, I think you can express yourself in different ways.
That's a good point. So what do you have lined up for the 3 different showings?
I'm just hoping a bunch of people show up. I'm obviously being cautious. I've had my vaccination, but I'll probably still be wearing a mask. But you'll be able to tell who I am because my earrings will poke out from underneath the mask. So, but yeah, it's meeting people, at that sort of setting, in a gallery. It's way more intimate. I can talk to people on a different level as opposed to, meeting people at the back, like a meet and greet, with Def Leppard. It's so brief, it's just a handshake, a few, pleasantries, how's the weather, that kind of thing. But this, I can actually spend a bit of time with people and talk to them.
Right. Do you think eventually you might do more showings?
Yes, I'm actually planning more showings now. Wentworth Galleries, they have I think probably about 12 galleries around the country. So, it'll be me doing the Wentworth Gallery tour, which is fun. It keeps me occupied, and it gives me something to do, while I can't get out there and play music.
Who's the next artist that you want to put in your Legends collection?
I'm looking at doing a Billie Holiday.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I just think, and the other thing, I haven't done that many, I haven't painted that many women, so I really want to bring that into, just into the foreground, other than Janis Joplin, I think it's time, and she was so influential. I was just listening to her music yesterday. It's like, man, her voice was just so beautiful.
So you're also in a band called Def Leppard, of course, and I'm wondering...
Yes.
Is there anything new with new music from Def Leppard? Because people are really excited to get it.
Yes. I mean, we've always got new music on the go, and I'm just excited for people to hear new music in the not-too-distant future.
Well, that sounds promising. Do you think we might get something new by the end of the year?
I hope so. That would be fantastic.
Oh, yes, of course, the big tour, the Motley Crue, Def Leppard, Poison, Joan Jett tour got postponed to next year, which is totally understandable. So were you surprised, or did you kind of have a feeling that would be on hold?
I didn't know what their decision was going to be, what Live Nation's decision was going to be, and I think that is something that, any promoter, whether that be sports or music or any large gatherings, I would hope that there's intelligent conversation going on around how to do this. And it was always going to be their call. I mean, obviously, we're bummed because our fans are just so loyal to this band, and we wanted to get out there. But if that's the decision that Live Nation made, I think first and foremost, people need to be safe. So yeah, it was a bummer, but it's their decision, and I've just got to occupy myself for another year and wait, probably do a lot more painting.
What do you miss most about being on the road?
Just playing in front of the crowds. That's always the gift. That's always the blessing. It's indescribable. The feeling of being out there and the energy you feel off a crowd. I'm not sure it's something that you can emulate. It's just such a unique experience for me.
When the tour finally happens, what are you most looking forward to when it comes to being on the road with Motley Crue and finally getting out there?
Yeah, just hanging out with all the other bands. We've known Motley Crue and Poison and Joan Jett for many years, and we've all played together at various times. So it was great when we all kind of realized that we could all do this together and get out there and play in front of a lot of people. So I think just being around everybody in all the different bands and all entertaining a crowd like that is going to be fantastic for all of us.
I'm really glad that you guys kept the lineup the same, because sometimes when tours get postponed, like they'll take an act off and that sort of thing. So I'm glad you didn't do that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think it was important. That lineup is just stunning. To be able to go to a concert like that and listen to hit songs all night is just fantastic.
One really great thing is that Def Leppard, of course, you guys are officially in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What was that experience like getting inducted?
To be honest, when I first heard it, we just got off the road, so it was a bit of an inconvenience because I just really wanted to be at home. I was just really tired. We'd been out on the road, but then we went to New York about 4 or 5 days before the ceremony, and I just realized how much of a big deal it was. Doing all the press and everything. And then I think the realization that it was the largest fan vote in history for the Hall of Fame, I think that was one of the things that really registered with us, because we always felt as though we didn't get enough love from the industry anyway, but we always did from our fans. So it was nice that they influenced the decision for us to be inducted. But yeah, it was cool, and Brian May and Ian Hunter being there, and then finally standing up on the stage and looking out and seeing the whole industry, just really, rooting for us, and then seeing all our fans, it was actually pretty overwhelming. I shed a few tears because it was a long time coming, and I just really got how important that was.
Oh yeah. What do you think of the class for this year? I don't know if you've seen it. Foo Fighters, Tina Turner, the Go-Go's.
Oh wow, yeah, that's cool. That's a great lineup. Yeah, they all deserve it. People that have been around this business for as long as they have, we all deserve it. It doesn't matter what kind of music it is. It's sometimes it feels like a real uphill struggle, and it's not as glamorous as people would imagine it is, but I think it's cool. It's a great honor to be inducted.
I feel like when you guys got inducted, the fans, as you mentioned, were just so happy. And then 2 other bands that haven't been inducted, Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, those 2 I keep seeing pop up, and kind of in the same breath as you guys, where they have this huge fan base that really wants them in. And for some reason, Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, haven't gotten in yet.
No, I know. And it was like that for us for many years. And, I could never understand why we weren't brought in sooner. But hey, that's how it goes sometimes. I don't understand, that process. But as you say, it's there are some bands that you would think would be a given or really obvious, but for whatever reason, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, no, it's very true. Well, what is next for you and Def Leppard?
Well, just really just being here at home, and then I guess sometime a year from now we'll start rehearsing and get ready for the tour. And it's cool. I've been busy with music. I mean, I was very fortunate to be involved with my wife's record, with Lauren Monroe's record. It was cool getting to work with Steve Ferroni. Ended up playing drums on her record, which I was a little bit jealous, but I got to play some songs as well. And she just released a record called Under the Wolf Moon. So if anybody's interested in Lauren Monroe, they can check her out at laurenmonroe.com.
That's awesome. Rock music is so dependent on getting out there on the road and being performed live. Do you think that rock is still in a good place despite the fact that the past year, people haven't been able to make that connection?
Well, people have been people have been innovative in terms of, streaming, but it's not the same. It's really cool getting out there. I'm actually going to be playing a show in Tampa with a good friend of mine, but it's more electronic dance music. Guy called DJ Ravi Drums, and I'm going to be there June 5th. Actually, I'm going to be playing a sort of a dance party, but that's all outdoors, so it should be safe,
And where can people go online to find you and your art?
They can either go to rickallen.com or they can go to wentworthgallery.com, and they'll be able to see photographs. Obviously, it's not the same as seeing it in person, but they can get an idea of some of the work that I've been doing, for many years now.
Well, it's been great talking with you. Is there anything else that you want to add?
No, I mean, other than I'm excited to be coming down there, and if you get a chance to come out, come and say hello.
Sounds awesome. Well, thank you, Rick, and definitely look forward to seeing you on that Motley Crue tour. I'm in the Detroit area, so we'll be there next year. Cannot wait.
Yeah, that'll be great. All right, darling. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Rick Allen from Def Leppard, thank you for being an amazing guest on my show. Don't forget to check out his artwork, rickallen.com, and you can pretty much see a bunch of his amazing artwork and check out what he's up to on social media and stuff like that. Def Leppard, I mean, these guys, it's hard to believe, but they've sold more than 100 million records worldwide. Yeah, that is mind-blowing, which is why I am very happy that Rick says that the guys of Def Leppard are going to put out new music. I tried to get out when it would be. I asked, is it going to be by the end of the year? And he did not really give me a straight answer, but Rick, I love you anyway. I totally understand. But at least it was very promising that he says he really hopes that new music will be out sooner rather than later. We are looking forward to it. And it is a bummer that the big Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Poison, Joan Jett tour has been postponed. But frankly, I would rather have it postponed and then have it just be a normal, awesome tour to enjoy without any weirdness that's lingering from the whole COVID thing. So I'm pretty happy with that decision. I look forward to next year rocking out with the boys in Detroit. Wow, we've had an amazing year just so far for the show. Rick Allen from Def Leppard, Stone Gossard from Pearl Jam was on, just a bunch of incredible guests, which is why you, yes, I mean you, I'm pointing at you right now, you need to subscribe to the podcast. Just search Anne Erickson or search Audio Inc. Radio. That's INK, like Tattoo Inc. Audio Inc. Radio. Wherever you listen to podcasts, we're on pretty much every podcast platform. And if you don't find us on a podcast platform that you regularly use, let me know. Just reach out to me and I'll do my best to get us on there. But on Apple, if you are on there, just subscribe and leave a 5-star review. I really appreciate the support. It really helps the show grow and chart and all that stuff. We're on Spotify, lots of different areas that you can rock with Audio Inc. Radio. And hey, don't be shy. Reach out to me on social media if you have an idea for a guest or topic, because sometimes I just do kind of fun, hot topics on the show, usually dealing with music. Big surprise. So just reach out to me. You can befriend me on Facebook and all that stuff. Just search Anne Erickson on Facebook. My name, my like page should pop up. You can also head to itsmeanne.com. That's itsmeanne.com. itsmeanne.com to link up on my Facebook, Twitter, and all that stuff. And if you want to link up direct, Twitter and Snapchat at Anne Erickson, Instagram and TikTok at Erickson Anne. And I actually had a listener message me recently with a few ideas for guests, and I booked one of them. So it happens. I mean, depending on who you have an idea for, I could make that dream come true. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for making people happy. So, or if you just want to hang with me and talk to me online, go for it. I promise I don't bite. And finally, check out my band Upon Wings at uponwings.com for female-led metal music. Got a new music video out for Eternal Way featuring Ralph Sheepers of Primal Fear and Gamma Ray. He is an incredible vocalist, power metal vocalist from Germany. Very cool that we could get him on here. So check that out, uponwings.com. Wow, that was a really fun show. And as always, it went very fast, extra fast because, hey, Rick Allen from Def Leppard, one of the greatest. I look forward to rocking with you on the next show. Got some great stuff lined up just for you. So hang out. It's Anne Erickson. Until next time, be safe, God bless, and we'll rock soon.
It's Audio Inc. with Anne.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Audio Inc. Radio Podcast. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Get inked online at audioinkradio.com. I'm Anne Erickson for the Audio Inc. Radio Podcast.